Hello and welcome to the IMDb Studio at Toronto 2019, presented by Intuit QuickBooks. I'm Dave Carger, here with the cast of Castle on the Ground, Alex Wolff, Imogen Poots, Keir Gilchrist on the end, and the writer-director Joey Klein. Great to see you all. Thanks so much for being here.
I believe him. That was authentic.
They're good. Joey, you're a Canadian here in Canada premiering your film. Is that kind of doubly exciting?
It's very nice, yeah. I'm from Montreal, but I live here, so it's quite special. A lot of the people that worked on the film live here. So it's quite a lovely family event last night at our premiere to have all these lovely guys come in. Keir's a Canadian too.
Oh, hey.
And so, yeah, it's quite special.
You decided to set this film, which is a drama about essentially opioid addiction, takes place in Canada, in 2012. Why was that the year that you wanted this story to take place?
That was one of the turning point, or I don't know if you call it a watershed moment, one of the horrible turns in the opioid epidemic, if that's what we call it, where Purdue Pharma took OxyContin off the market, and they did it for patent reasons of patent, and then it created a panic in the street for everybody who became addicted to prescription drugs and went one day from being too readily available to not being available whatsoever. And that was when fake OxyContins made mostly with fentanyl already existed, but then they started to flood the streets far more, especially in small towns, in that panic moment. Yeah.
Alex, your character Henry is going through a very rough time. His mother, who's played by Neve Campbell, is terminally ill, and he seems lost in a way. And how would you say you kind of found your entry point into this character?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, my dad was sick and almost died of cancer, and he beat it, and so I definitely I knew that feeling of this strange fight or flight that happens during that time. Like I felt like he made it his mission to take care of his mom, and he wasn't really dealing with the emotions that were going on inside him, and so that's why, like, you know, I dropped, I don't know, like probably over 30 pounds or something for it, and because I felt like he was, even before doing drugs, he was not making himself a priority and not eating and not sleeping and not doing anything to take care of himself. And so I guess I found my way in by seeing how someone, when they're taking care of someone and that's their main priority, when they lose that person, then what happens? And I think, especially in the case of a young, vulnerable boy, you know, I loved the aspect of the script, and we talked a lot about this, the aspect of the script that Henry is a really sweet boy. And he would call me, during the movie, he'd say, "My sweet boy," the whole time, because I think that's what he was. And I think this movie, more than anything I've seen, isn't punishing in the way you'd expect about drugs. It's more heart-wrenching because it's this sweet, innocent little baby almost who has all these drugs in his kitchen that he's learned to take care of, or learned to navigate because of taking care of his mother, and he has easy access to them, and he wants to fill this void of his mother, and when she's gone, it's just so easy, and he can just run in the kitchen and start doing drugs. So my entryway was that, just the feeling of needing to fill that hole with something, especially when you're a young boy and those drugs prey on innocent, vulnerable boys who I mean, boys and girls, but I think in this case, a young man really trying to find himself.
Yeah.
And that's what he turns to.
And
That's my long-winded answer
That's
to
great.
your question.
Imogen, your character really fascinated me because she's this combination of charming and dangerous. And when you're meeting her, especially in the beginning, you're not sure whether she's telling the truth, you know, when she's talking to pharmacists. And was that part of the excitement for you, to play this woman who had different sides to her like that?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really exciting to come across such a vibrant script, such as this, and the characters were so well drawn. A lot of conflict was quite obvious, in Anna especially, and it was really exciting to play that because I do think at times it's a very emotional note that Henry and her are connecting on, and other times it's extremely transactional. She's busy as well. She's very ill and she's busy, and that's unfortunately what has to happen. It's like a rat race to try and stay stable. But yeah, she's certainly had multiple facets, and it was really exciting to get to, get your teeth into a character like that, and difficult to defend someone who often makes quite unlikable decisions. Yeah.
And I will say Imogen was attached to the movie, and I was a huge fan of her work, and that was one of the main things also that pulled me into it. Aside from also Keir and Joey, but when I found out Imogen was going to do it, I could see her playing this wild character, and I think the movie's really funny and really fun in a lot of ways, and beautiful and sweet, and so people maybe don't expect that, but it's a sweet movie in my opinion, and hopeful.
And Keir, as the film goes on, the danger does kind of ratchet up, largely because of your character and everything that's going on. How did Joey try to keep the mood on set? Was it a serious set, or did you guys try to lighten the mood at times as well?
He hit us a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was like overly serious, but it was as serious as it needed to be. But it wasn't like Joey was punishing us or anything. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really, I mean, all the scenes I had in the film were pretty high tension, and they're long scenes too. So yeah, I guess, it was, again, as serious as it needed to be, but it was fun. We had fun. It wasn't super serious.
Would you guys say that you have a different viewpoint towards people who are struggling with drug addiction, specifically opioid addiction, after going through the experience of making this movie?
100%. It was very normalized, and Joey had that intention from the start. That's why I believe you want to tell this story, is how realistic this scenario is and these circumstances, that it really can happen to anyone. And the well-worn idea of the drug addict just isn't relevant to this story. I mean, there was no decision made to fall into these circumstances, but totally with all the research that is really accessible and available out there, you start to educate yourself on how this is a serious crisis, and it's been kept under the rug, I think, to a certain extent, and then recently it's really blown up. I'm seeing it everywhere in newspapers and everything these days, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like with Henry, what I love what she said about falling into it, because there is no decision. What I always thought is that, what happened in the drug addict's life that they went and made the decision to become a drug addict, and it's just so not the case. It's like it's this slow falling. It's like one of those dreams where you're falling off a cliff. It's kind of how I saw Henry. He doesn't have anything else, and so he starts to fall into this world, and so I guess I have much more empathy and much more sympathy, especially watching all the documentaries and scouring through YouTube and finding all these videos of these young kids. You got to know it's a sickness. It's not a decision. It's a sickness, and I think we have to start treating it like that, in my opinion.
Guys, great to see you all. Thanks so much for being here.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.